This is Brian Young, Super Bowl champ, 49er. You're listening to Matt and Dexter on The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, which is brought to you, of course, by Gridiron Mo. Gridiron Mo is a new interactive football app that lets you call what an offense or defense will do during a live NFL game, and you get to compete against others around the country, see if you got what you got right and wrong. Think you're better than the coach? Give it a try at gridironmo.com or thegruelingtruth.net. I'm your host for the 49er Weekly Show, Matt Andruscavage, and I'd like to welcome in my co-host, former 49ers running back, Dexter Carter.
Hey, Matt. It's great to be with you again, man.
Always enjoy it. Get to talk about 49er football and all the great memories, and we get to talk about trying to figure out what they're going to do, because we're getting near the end of the season now.
Yep, talk about moving forward and changes from last week, if any, and of course the results of last week's game, which had another fallen game. But hey, we're here to talk about it a little bit. Try to give the 49er, fans something to optimistic about, or just the reality of what exists.
Oh, no doubt about it. It's one of those things where, I got friends that are like, well, let's go for the draft pick. I'm like, well, I understand that. I never cheer for them to lose, but I guess I just kind of take comfort that if they lose, well, okay, we're just that much closer to a higher pick, and we're just going to see what happens in the free agency and stuff. But at this point, I think, what are they, 1-13? I mean, that's kind of rough. But 2 more games left. We're going to see some new faces. There's a couple interesting transactions this week, and we're just going to see what they do against the Rams. But before we get there, we had a Falcons game. Go ahead.
Yeah, and speaking of the Falcon game, I was there last week, and as much as we want to look at the highest draft pick we can get, which means, it's probably best at this point, 14 games into the season, not winning, I still find myself rooting for us. Not, it's hard to root against us, even though I say, Hey, the win helps, the Falcons, my home state team, but then my numbers, will give us a better draft pick. But then I find myself just hard to go against them. But then, then I have to shake myself and say, come to reality, Dexter. It's too late. We're not going to come back and win a playoff spot. So, but that's just the 49er in me. It's hard, to kind of wish and hope for us to lose. But, hey, at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to do anything when you got deactivation of many players and guys get hurt and drop balls. And so, what looks like a lack of effort out there, but I think it's more so, I just think it's the I don't know, I think not the mystique, but the just the shadow that's over the team right now. Everybody just knows the dire reality we're in right now. So it's kind of hard, maybe even for those players, to get up and motivated, regardless if that's their job or not. But it sure did look like a unmotivated staff and team from up close, from what I saw this past weekend.
Yeah, even watching it on TV, there's no energy. There's not a lot, and I realize, it's like you said. I think it's hard to get up for something like that. I mean, you're on the road. You're all the way across the country. You're playing against a team that's pretty much surging towards the playoffs. Atlanta's going to be one of the better teams in the playoffs, probably the number 3 seed in the NFC. They need to win. They need to keep pace, make sure that Tampa Bay can't catch them. They got a great team over there. They probably weren't going to win that game, but it's just one of those things where, want to see, as a fan, you want to see fire on your team, and it's hard when everything just kind of looks lackadaisical out there. But so I'm kind of in the same boat as you. It's like, well, okay, no problem. They're going to get that high draft pick. don't
right
against them, but you also don't necessarily want to see them lose ground on that. So I'm just kind of like I've just reached acceptance where whatever happens, I guess I'm happy with it, because on one hand, hey, my team won, or on the other hand, hey, you're gonna get that draft pick.
Absolutely. I never played on a team. Oh, let me rephrase that. I played half the season on a team like that, the Jets, but
yeah.
I was able to get, out of there and kind of, in a way, wish I had an opportunity to play in New York. On a winning team, I hate to see fans not experience a winning team, and that was the only team in my life from Pop Warner on up that I've ever played where we lost so many games. But I guess when you lose that many, it's hard for me to identify and know how it's supposed to look. I started with the Jets that played that bad, but I was able to leave and go back to a playoff team with the Jets, midway through the season. So, so knowing exactly through a whole season what it looks like, and just the no hope that you have going towards the end of the season, and how one plays and how that affects the locker room and the coaching staff. I don't know the totality of that through a whole season, but I guess if I did, it would kind of look like what I saw Sunday, where it just looked like there was a lack of effort, when really that may be in the best that they could give. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of wonder with all the guys on IR and everything that is actually out on the field, I wonder if there is more you could get out of a lot of these guys. But, when you were with the Jets, and I don't remember what the record was when by the time you had made your way back to the 49ers, but New York's a really tough place to play when things are not going very well. The media is very tough. The fans are very tough on the team and stuff. What do you have any memories about what that was like, as far as criticism for the fans or media, and what it was like? Going out there doing your best, but it's just not good enough that day, that sort of thing?
Well, criticism was in full effect, and a lot of it, whichever way you want to look at, was directed towards me. Even though, it wasn't like I played a whole lot, to warrant that criticism. But I guess I believe we were 1-10. We may have won one game in the 10, 11 games that I was there. But the one thing that was impressive to me, regardless of how cold it got or how bad that team was, those stands stayed full. And that was impressive to me. So, and I'm sure the 49 faithful, or have hope just based on next year. So I don't know what stands look like there in San Francisco, Santa Clara, but I'm sure they still have a hope just based on our storied history and what I know that we're going to be able to build back. How soon we're going to build it, nobody has a crystal ball, but hopefully it's sooner than later.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like you said about the fans, getting out there and stuff. A little bit different situation with the current 49er team, just because there's, the new stadium. There's so much backlash against the owner, and there are a number of fans that turn in their seat licenses because they don't want to support that owner. They still love the team. I know the team travels very well. I'm sure you saw a lot of Niner fans at the Falcons.
Oh,
game.
Really? I was very impressed.
Oh, yeah.
I was very impressed. I mean, I even met somebody who traveled from San Francisco.
Yep.
So we still got out, and you know what? And none of those fans I heard talking negatively. Right. They were still very hopeful.
Right.
So, that inspired me also, and made me, realize and understand why I'm proud to, be a 49er.
Absolutely. I know several people that were at that game, and every time I've traveled to a game, all but one of the games that I've ever been to have been road games, and I can't even. I mean, it very underrated fan base. We really do have an underrated fan base as far as the traveling and how many show up, and just there's so much going on. I mean, I remember going to Tampa Bay 3 years ago. I mean, it was just packed out with Niner fans. It seemed like for every Tampa fan, there were 5 of us. And it was fantastic. My wife and my friends, all from Wisconsin, like, man, this is this is quite a turnout. And so I know we got that going on. That's not going to die. It might be a little bit different right now at the home front, just because of the way things are. So I'm hoping some of this stuff changes, because those fans always pack that place out. But it's like you were saying, when you're 1-10, when you're with the Jets, or 1-13 situation like now, it's tough to get up for those games. But I guess each player just kind of, you do what you have to do. And I'm sure you saw plenty of that with your Jet teammates, and I'm sure that's going on now with the current team.
Yeah, and the one thing that keeps you hopeful is just like life, always felt like, whenever you hit a roadblock or negative things, that, this too shall pass, but it passes because of changes you personally make, and as a group, family, or as a team, you have to all make the appropriate changes. And of course, with the 49ers, there are some front office changes that have to be made, or some adjustments, however they choose to do it. But, you keep doing the same old thing, getting the same old results, then nothing obviously will change. So we do know there are changes that need to be made, and hopefully it will be the right one.
Yep, no doubt about it. You're talking about changes. There's a few things going on this week. There's more guys to the IR, like Jimmy Ward went to injured reserve, Clinton Patton, Daniel Kilgore went last week. There's just so many guys left and right putting offensive linemen on IR, and so they made some changes. They brought back DeAndre Smelter, a guy that I was really hopeful to see this year, but he just could never get himself healthy. It looks like he's finally healthy. They're going to give him a chance. They pulled him off the practice squad, so we might get a chance to see what he can do, this week against the Rams. But, you're at the Falcon game. What did you see as far? I mean, we talked about, it didn't look like there was a lot of energy. I know that, on a negative standpoint, there was a lot of missed blocks. I know there were some drop passes. But what did you see? As someone who was in the stands, like a kind of a real quick summary of what you saw on that day.
Without mentioning names of players, because I know there had to be some tremendous effort given by, some guys. I mean, Bugner, I surely spoke the effort, from him. But when you look at the team as a whole, there were times when I saw Cap not having a whole lot of time to throw the ball. I specifically looked at the offensive line, and it's either the line is so abysmal or the defensive line for Atlanta was just so dominant. But there was just, in my opinion, no productivity, no sliding the feet, no, quick kick stepping, just techniques needed to at least put yourself in position to get run over slowly. Even if you are terrible, get run over slowly. That way, you at least make the guy have to go through you to get to the quarterback or to the running back. And then I looked at the receivers, when Cap did, have time or had to get out the pocket to throw the ball. It was just drop passes, some that, in my opinion, were catchable balls that were just dropped. It had to be very discouraging, maybe for the coaches and for Cap too, and probably for the players themselves. And then on on the defensive side of the ball, you got to give Atlanta credit where credit is due. I saw Kyle Shanahan made some great call. He called a great game. Most plays were called at the right time, where Matt Ryan was throwing the ball to the right person in these zones. But then there were times where I saw corner routes and seam routes where some of the DBs were right. I mean, they were like, and when I say a step away, unfortunately in football is like a mile away. But he was right there. But Matt Ryan put that ball right where it needs to be, and I'm thinking, he was there. But perfect ball, touchdown. So, different things go bad, they go really bad, as I looked for those things, and it just was kind of, just discouraging because so much wasn't, going the 49ers way. And of course, and you said something earlier that Atlanta has something to play for. They have something to fight for, and that's what the 49ers don't. So Atlanta's going to find a way to make those things happen, to better position themselves for the playoffs.
Oh, no doubt about it. I basically felt the same way watching from here, and it felt like there was just some things left on the field. There was a couple positive things. I really like Blake Bell. I think he's going to be a good young tight end in the future for the Niners. I think Garrett Selleck's a good tight end. I think Vance McDonald has made some strides. So I feel like they're okay at the tight end position. Like you brought up DeForest Buckner. I mean, this guy is a rock. Totally can build around him. I'd like to see Eric Armstead be healthy. And boy, it'd be nice to get Ian Williams back. I don't know what's going to happen there, but I think the three of those guys together could really be a good defensive line. But it's nice to see DeForest Buckner playing so well, and also right tackle Trent Brown, just a 7th-round pick last year. Big guy, probably should have made the Pro Bowl this year. He's played so well. And so there's a couple of bright spots, but all in all, I'd have to agree with everything you said. The Falcons really called a good game. They have a lot to play for. And as we've talked about, with the guys that are out, the run defense just is not there. I mean, literally, you just knew that Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman were going to get a lot of rushing yards. And if that happens, then all of a sudden Matt Ryan, everything just opens up for the passing game. I think that's really been the downfall for the team this year, is the lack of run. It just all, to me, starts with the fact that they can't stop the run. And in this league, if you can't stop the run, you're in trouble, because it's already a passing league. And if teams can be more balanced, that's going to be really tough. So it really didn't surprise me that they lost by the amount of points that they did. I guess it just would have been one of the things I wanted to see this year was, if they didn't win a lot of games, I just really wanted to see an improvement with, how were they going to be in a lot more games. And they have been in some games, but boy, this one was rough.
Yeah, and with Julio Jones out, you would hope that that would give them less of an advantage. But when you have Freeman and Coleman really playing so well at that running back position, giving Atlanta a 1-2 punch, and they didn't disappoint their fans. Those two guys, especially Freeman, you're talking about extra effort and hard running. The example that you want was exactly what those two guys, especially Freeman, gave in that game against the 49ers.
Exactly. There was that long touchdown by Freeman. I mean, it looked to me like the moment he got the ball, he just had a straight line to the end zone with just untouched. To me, it was just a very well called game, very well coached game by the Atlanta Falcons, and just a poor effort, just a poor showing by the Niners. It's just the way things worked out. I think there's just a lack of talent on the field right now. And they're bringing a lot of guys in off the practice squad and some guys off the street, and it's just, it's the end of the season. You can just tell. And we'd like to see something else, but it is what it is. So, we'll just move on to the Rams, and we'll see what happens there. So, like we talked about, DeAndre Smelter is going to be hopefully playing in this game. I like to see him out there. I guess this is just one of those things where it's almost like preseason, where you just get to evaluate some guys, and I'd really like to see something out of him. That'd be really nice to see for kind of, if he were to work out, he's a big guy. They need a big target out there. So
right.
Playing the Rams, Jared Goff's going to play. He cleared concussion protocol. It's going to be tough to stop Todd Gurley with the lack of run defense, but I guess we'll just kind of see what happens there. So what do you think? What do you see for this game?
Well, it would be nice, as you talk about, seeing guys, play. As much as I like Kaepernick, he first 3 or 4 games he came back, you really saw after 2 games he started really progressing, and you saw some positive things. And he's kind of and a lot of it has to do with not a better word for it, lack of talent on the field. He's kind of cool. So at this point, I wouldn't mind seeing Christian Ponder, get some playing time and and see what he can do, from the quarterback position. I don't expect a lot, because it's not all of a sudden, the talent is going to reach a level that is going to make us competitive at this point, especially when you talk about, L.A. and Gurley. When the offensive coaching staff watches film and they see what the running game for Atlanta was able to do, all they're going to do is run a version of their offense, which is similar to what Atlanta did in the running game, and be successful, in it. So who knows? Maybe this is the game that Goff will, maybe show a little light, of his own personal progression. But yeah, it's not a whole lot more players that can, be put in, from what the 49ers have already done, just because of the lack of talent. And what I see is something similar to what you see in preseason. I know it's more talent than the preseason, but you have guys that isn't going to play well. Now they're going to play the best that they can. And anybody, again, I have to say this being a former player, any player that's in the league, on the team, and playing on that field, is a talented individual. But we also, there's different levels of talent, on each team. And when that not very good talent level meets, these teams that have very good talent, it's going to be easy to see the disparity between both teams.
Yeah, it's no doubt about it. I mean, like you said, anybody, if you make the NFL, you are a talented individual. There's no question about it. But there are different levels of talent, and I think right now they're going to get chances to evaluate guys that they normally wouldn't have. And I think one of those guys should be Christian Ponder. I think they should give him a look. Colin Kaepernick has had opportunities. There have been games he's played well, but the fact is they haven't won a game since he's been starting. And not that Blaine Gabbert was much better. He only won 1 game, but I think it's fair to bring Christian Ponder in and give him a look and just let him play in Chip Kelly's system and see what happens. I mean, I thought there's a reason he made the team. I thought he had a good preseason, and they must have felt pretty good about him to keep him around. I think they ought to give him a chance and just really just give everybody a look. I mean, there's going to be guys that are not going to be playing, like Joe Staley, and there's just several veterans that are out. So I just think you let just about every young guy you have play. Why not at this point? Give them opportunities. Give someone a chance to shine, make a big play, and then you just kind of put that away and you note it for next year, and you just kind of see what you have with everybody on the roster.
Well, if anybody who's a decision maker with the 49ers are listening to the best podcast show out there,
that's right.
Then I think they'll have their template, moving forward, in these last few weeks of the season. So we'll see if they follow our template.
That's right. Hopefully they do.
But we love our Niners. We love our Niners. It's all about love. It's all about, support, and more so than not, whether we're right or wrong based on who's listening, all we're doing is giving an honest assessment of what we think, what we believe, based on our, knowledge and, personal experiences. So, that's what makes up a good show, giving analysis of what we see.
That's right. I mean, we definitely we love the Niners here, and we want to see the team get back. And I think every Niner fan does feel that way. There's even those that are very frustrated right now. There's a lot of strong emotions for various reasons, and I understand that. But I think going forward, I think we're better off. We're better served having good discussion about what can actually improve the team. And one of the things we talked about a couple weeks ago when we were on Niners Radio with Brian Bauer was who do we want to, what coaches are out there? And I think we kind of came to a consensus that we'd like to see, and I know there's a lot of fans that feel this way, we'd like to see Mike Shanahan be the general manager and Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator for the Falcons, take over the head coaching job this year. If that doesn't happen, because that is, I think, the choice that we agreed would be really good. But if that doesn't happen, are there any other coaches out there that are catching your eye? Because there's been a couple guys let go, and who would be another person that you would mind seeing come in to coach the team?
Man, I'm sure there's some talent that on numerous staffs out there that we're not aware of right now that have been developed over the years and are doing very, very well. But I know I keep throwing out the Shanahan and of course the offensive coordinator from New England, whom I do not think would go to San Francisco. But I do believe Shanahan, will if the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and they give him the right number. But man, it's hard to pinpoint anybody else because I guess I'm so gung-ho on, maybe somebody whose last name ends in Shanahan being the guy. Another guy, I like, but he would never go to San Francisco because one, he's looking for the right fit, and he's from Jacksonville, used to be the Jacksonville Jaguar, coach, but he's a total different man, total different coach than he was when he coached the Jaguars, even though he took Jaguars to 2 AFC championship games and had some great years there, but then fizzled out just because he was too much of a disciplinarian. And it's okay to be a disciplinarian, but he was very much of, I'm trying to think of the word. He just treated men like boys. But now, after going to New York and really becoming a player's coach and really involving, players' council and on the decision making, when it came to what he should do, with these players, off the field, on the field, in the locker room, and you see what it did. He went and won 2 Super Bowls with New York, but Tom Coughlin, although he fizzled out toward the end with the job, with him living there in Jacksonville, I think that's a fit for him. I believe if they offer it, he's definitely there. But he's the kind of coach that, that would need to come into if it's not a Cal, because Cal doesn't have that kind of, he doesn't have, I know Cal, but I haven't seen him in a number of years. He used to be this little kid running on the field, out there when his dad was our offensive coordinator. But so he may have become, very much of a disciplinarian. I do know when it comes to X's and O's and leadership, he's learned from the best, not just where he's at now, but, from his father. But either of those guys will fit. But by the time we come on the show before the end of the year, in the next couple of weeks, you and I, we're going to take a look at a deep list of candidates, so we can have a discussion, with each other for our fans, man, so they can have an overall view of what's available out there. Because at the end of the day, I don't know for sure that Chill won't be back. I think they're going to bring it back really. But if you want to make a splash and you want to, give these fans something to hope for, then you need to give them, something new to change the entire, situation that's going on now.
Absolutely. I think Tom Coughlin is the kind of guy, someone like that can run a team and has experience, has a winning culture, and I think you're right. He's a different person than he was in Jacksonville. So you're probably right. He's probably not the right or the kind of person that they're going to look to bring in, and he's living in Jacksonville. So I guess the question is, someone you were living in Jacksonville. You got to see the Jaguars quite a lot. What do you think of Gus Bradley?
You know what? I like Gus. And I think Gus could – it's a weird situation if it happened, but Gus could literally be the defense coordinator for the Jaguars. He's done such a great job putting that defense together. He was the defense coordinator for Pete Carroll, there. And had their head coach for the Falcons on his staff, when they put that defense together. So, them being a top 10 defense, being as bad as they are, says a lot of how they put that team together. But great guy, but you can't be a great guy only. It won't, I think based on his record, they gave him long enough. And unfortunately, when they get rid of him, 3 or 4 games, before the season's over and right after a game, they really, really realized that they needed a change. So, but he's a good guy, but a change was needed, and they made it immediately. They were so discouraged with the performance of that team after everything they've invested with the draft, with free agents. And I tell you what, nobody would have guessed that the Jaguars would have been as bad as they were this year. So
right.
They had enough of it at that game and said, you know what, this is enough. We're doing it right now. We can pull the trigger.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very accurate statement. They probably gave him as long as they could, and I'm not sure if he would be a fit or not. Maybe defensive coordinator somewhere is a better fit for him, at least at this point. But
absolutely, yeah. He definitely wouldn't be one of the ones that I would recommend the 49ers put on their interview list.
Right, and so like you said, we're they call it I think they call it Black Monday when it gets to be either at the I think it's right after week 17 that Monday or Tuesday. That's when coaches start getting fired, and you start getting an idea of what the talent pool is going to be like for coaches, going forward. So I know, like you said, we'll be evaluating that and try to do some figuring out as to what direction the Niners could go, and so we'll be looking for that in the next week or so.
Hey, and one more thing towards the coaching thing, and uh, uh, that I should have mentioned, has some 49er ties and has recently talked about coming back to the league. And that's Chucky boy, Young Groove. I mean, he's been out in the Bay Area and, took the Raiders to the Super Bowl. But I think he would be on a list to come back. Whether it be a good fit, I'm not really sure, but he's definitely one of those that I would consider.
Oh yeah, I think just about everybody would be ecstatic if they brought John Gruden in. I mean, he's got he would have. You talk about he's a student of the West Coast offense. He did a good job when he was in Green Bay. Did a good job when he was in Tampa and Oakland, and there's guy did it. He won everywhere he went, and so I feel like he would be. I think he would be a great fit if they could make that happen.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We'll talk more about it, in future shows.
Absolutely. So with that, we'll be looking forward to seeing the 49ers take on the Rams this on Saturday and in the afternoon on Christmas Eve. So I hope everyone out there has a great Christmas and a good time with your family. I know you probably you get to spend time, and you got a pretty large family, so I'm sure you got some stuff planned.
Yeah, gonna spend Christmas, with the kids, here in Georgia, then for Christmas, and then the day after we'll go down to South Georgia, and then on the 28th, me and my brothers are gonna get together and go to Miami for up until New Year's Day and go to the FSU Michigan game, the Orange Bowl, on December the 30th. So that should be a good environment to watch some football.
Oh, most definitely. That'll be a great time.
Yeah, so I'll try not to, watch Harbaugh and what he does with the Michigan and feel too sad for for the Niners, but
it's hard every time I see a Michigan game. Ooh, that's tough. But I'm glad for him. I'm glad. I wish him all the success out there. But yeah, it's always hard to see. We wish him all the success except on December the 30th. Right.
Yeah, definitely not against the
that's right. That's
Seminoles.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, definitely best of luck to Florida State. You got your alma mater there, so I would definitely expect you to be cheering for them.
Yes, will do.
All right, everyone. So with that, be sure to check out thegruelingtruth.net. Check out our Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at Grueling Truth. You can follow me on Twitter at MTAScavage, and you can follow Dexter on Twitter at, I believe it's at iDexterCarter, right?
Yes, iDexter Carter.
All right. So we'll be watching the rest of the 49ers season. Hope everybody has a great Christmas. And so for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49er Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, where the legends speak.